From Lalate News headquarters in Santa Monica, this is the Midday Report on Lalate.
It's a big midday recording live from Los Angeles, Santa Monica, with breaking news minutes ago about your fourth stimulus check of 2021. A major vote was held minutes ago. I thought it was going to be tonight. It was held seconds ago. I have all the breaking news in this fourth stimulus check up to 2021, what this vote meant for you. We'll be going over the checks and why the Democrats are likely to give you more months of checks. And then we cut to the recon. Done deal. $3.5 trillion of checks are coming to the American people. This is not third stimulus. This is not the children's checks. This is you, seniors, adults, everyone across the board. A lot of money. It's all the fourth stimulus recon. I have the latest breaking details as well. And then, in the final 15 of the final 7, you'll hear the breaking news as a major vote is called minutes ago. What is Chuck Schumer doing? What is Nancy Pelosi doing? Why were there no less than 3 emergency meetings overnight? And why might there be another emergency meeting minutes from now because of what happened just seconds ago? It's all breaking news, and you're going to hear it for the first time live from Santa Monica on this noontime broadcast. Then we cut to fifth stimulus, which raise your benefits lifetime. And then the big money. You're killing it. You're absolutely kicking it out of the ballpark. Viewers of this channel in the last 24 hours have reported getting over $35,000 from this channel. $30,000, $25,000, like Nancy, $24,000 for rent, $7,000 for gas, and $5,000 for SNAP. And Mark, $25,000 for rent and $6,500 for utilities. I'm going to show you how you get this big money. It's a big day with a lot of breaking news, a big recording stayed at the very end, starting right here, right now, on Noontime Lalate, starting this very moment. Hey, good afternoon and good noontime, everybody. How are you doing? Hope you're having a beautiful day. I'm live with you, direct from Santa Monica, with a lot of breaking news at this noontime break. Hope the weather is good where you are. It's cooler, it's sunny, it's light and breezy, and it's not hot or muggy. It is paradise here right at the moment. Except when Ron Portman walks in the room. No. How are you doing? I hope you're good. Jump in the live chat. Tell me where you're tuned in from and how's the weather. In this fourth stimulus check updated 2021, a lot of breaking news at noontime. You're going to hear for the first time in today's recording some of the stuff happening minutes ago. We'll be going over the fourth stimulus checks, why you likely get more months of checks. Then we'll be going over the recon. A done deal. $3.5 trillion of checks have been confirmed in this fourth stimulus recon. I'll go over some of those items and why the deal of the 3.5 is a big deal and why it's now advancing and the vote it's being set up as well. Then the third part of this video will be going over the bills, the vote, and the vote that happened minutes ago. What was this vote for, and why is the vote causing a lot of emergency meetings? And what are the dramatics, and what's my opinion of the situation? Because there's a new twist that I never would have thought I'd be reporting on, happening for the first time at this noontime. It's in the final 15 minutes of this video, stay to the very end. It's a shocking twist. Then we can turn to fifth stimulus, which raises your benefits up lifetime by SSI and SSDI and VA. It's great news across the board. And then the big money that viewers continue to get. 5, 10, 15, 20,000. We have now 5, 6 viewers getting over $20,000 of rent in the last 24 hours, $5,000 to $6,000 from utilities, and $18,000 for SNAP. And this is Lalate, America's only 24-hour day, 7 days a week, financial news channel in America, live in the morning like right now, direct from Santa Monica, and taped in the afternoons with new shows today at Afternoons Lalate at 3 and 5. So subscribe. 400,000 subscribers, a YouTube record. I want you part of this channel. 400,000 in 1 year. Next up, 1 million. Hit that subscribe button right now. Like the video, 3,000 likes, and consider becoming a member. Let's get right into that monthly stimulus check, starting right now with the House bill and the Senate proposal. Pandemic plus 1 year House bill. That was the key language that everyone was speaking about 4 weeks ago when we wondered the pandemic was over. It ain't over, though, now, we realize. House bill pays $1,000 a month after the first month. Senate monthly amount after Senate monthly amount is unknown, but word on the street is the Senate would pay you this. Deliciousness. $2,000 over 6 months, $12,000, or $1,400 over 6 months, $8,400. When you look at this language, pandemic plus 1 year, it's the pandemic part that's critical because now the whole universe has changed because of Delta. 4 weeks ago, we thought the pandemic may be over. 3 weeks ago, we realized it's not over. 2 weeks ago, we realized it's really not over. And now we realize it's far from over. If that's the case, the House bill would pay more than 12 checks, which would be more than $13,000, more than $13,000 from the House, which compares it to this in the Senate. I think you have an opinion. I think you have an opinion. Vote House or Senate. House or Senate. Jump in the live chat right now and vote House or Senate. Also tell me where you're tuning in from and how's the weather. Who gets this fourth stimulus check? You do. The Democrats represent. Single individual, $75,000 less. Democrats represent. You get a fourth stimulus check. Married couple, $150,000 less. Democrats represent. You get a fourth stimulus check. Double it. Family of four, Democrats represent. You get a fourth stimulus check. Just quadruple it. And if you're on benefits, SSI, SSDI, VA, and everyone else, Democrats represent. You get a fourth stimulus check. The fourth stimulus check is income. It's not income. It is not taxable. The fourth stimulus check would be the same amount for everyone, including adult dependents. You would get one as well. And the fourth stimulus check is not a waivable check, so don't try waving at it. It's a monthly stimulus check. I learned that error last weekend when on Sunday I went to Ron Portman's luau. And I saw Ron Portman from afar, and I wanted to wave at him, but, I walked up. I said, "Hello, Senator Portman, how are you? Thank you for your work on the infrastructure." "Well, thank you, Lalate. It's good to see you. I appreciate you coming." Yeah, I wanted to walk up and wave at you. I didn't want to wave at you from afar. I thought that would be rude. I just didn't want to wave at you. "No, Lalate, I'm not a waivable check. I'm just infrastructure." Yeah, you're not infrastructure that's getting done either. Get out of here, Lalate. That's the fourth stimulus check. That was the end of my visit to Ron Portman. Mitch and Ron, I'm just disinvited everywhere. So there you go. The fourth stimulus check recon, and the recon excitement is heating up. Recon, $3.5 trillion of checks to you. Not children's checks. This is for stimulus. Checks for seniors, checks for workers. It's heating up with a deal for the price tag and a deal to pass it. And a progression of the bill, what's caused moving the bill along. It's coming up later in this video. But also in the third part of this video, it's the huge final 15 minutes you have to tune into. There was a vote held on one of these two paths, recon and bipartisan, just 3 minutes ago. And the developments that went into the vote and the developments that came out of the vote are shocking. And there were breaking news meetings and emergency meetings overnight. Those are shocking. There's just a lot happening. I have never seen so many moving parts in a given day. Stay to the final 15 minutes. There's so much to cover. I hope I get it to you in the way that it's that you can digest it. It's a lot. It's in the final 15 minutes of this video. Also coming up later in this video is fifth stimulus, which raises your benefits up a lifetime. And this is what the president promised, did not deliver, but now it's happening. But finally, you're killing it. And your numbers reported to reviewers are reporting in the last 48 hours are incredible. Viewers are getting rent, utilities, mortgage assistance, and homeowners utilities. And get that pen and paper ready, because I'm going to get you that money as well. Get that pen and paper ready, because I'm going to get you rent, mortgage, utilities, and homeowners utilities, because these numbers are incredible. I have never seen anything like this. Richard got $22,000. Angela, $5,000. Mark, $25,000 of rent, and $6,500 in utilities from my videos. Lynn got money. Cecilia, Jennifer, Randy, $6,000 for rent. Jennifer, $5,000 for rent. Nancy got $24,000 of rent, $7,000 for gas, $5,000 for SNAP. That's over $30-something thousand just for one person from my videos. Tiffany, $13,000 for rent and SNAP, and she also got utilities. Carla getting money, and Pamela getting $12,000 for rent. Louis, $18,000 for SNAP. John, $10,000 to $12,000 for SNAP. It's just an incredible achievement. What's going on? This is what's going on. We're cashing checks. This channel is all about cashing checks, not about tracking checks. We've been doing this since day one. When EIDL loans and grants came out, they were supposed to, under the law, pay you a check within 3 days. They didn't within 3 days. So there was no check to track. But I got the checks for the viewers eventually, $25 million of them, and they cashed them. Then involved 2020, second stimulus was supposed to be passed. It did not pass, so there was no check to track. But I got viewers $250,000 of checks. Rent, like Tyrone, his family of four out of Boston, paid all his rent to next spring. But now we're doing again. The only difference is you. You are getting numbers I've never seen before. When I was recording videos just a few weeks ago, I said I can get you $5,000 for rent. Viewers are now getting $20,000 like Nisi, and $25,000 and $27,000 for rent. When I was recording videos where I said I can get you $300 for utilities, viewers are now getting $7,000 for utilities. I just 2 days ago said $3,000. Now it's $7,000. And then when I talk about Snap and I said $5,000 to $6,000, now John getting $10,000 to $12,000, Louis $18,000. Get that pen and paper ready because it's your turn to get that money as well. I'm going to show you different places to reach out to. Each place has different eligibility. If one says no, reach out to the next. They also have their own pot of money. And watch for the keywords because viewers tell me the keywords is what's helping getting them approved. Are you ready? Here we go. You can reach out to your city hall, your city housing authority, your county hall, your county housing authority, your state hall, your state housing authority. Keywords you're going to say are rent assistance because of COVID, or mortgage or homeowners utilities because of COVID. And there you go. You don't say words they don't know, like stimulus or Kristen Sinema's fan club. You don't know those words. No one knows those words. And there you go. Congratulations to Tim and Linda who got this wonderful pot of money. If you got rent or utilities, post in the live chat right now. Let's go to some Snap. Snap is incredible. John, again, $10,000 to $12,000. Congratulations, John. Louis, $18,000. Yes, Louis, I'm so proud of you. Lynn Glenn got it for herself, her son, and her mom. Gail got it as well. What is Snap? It is money for food. How much do you get? Or where do you get it? Department of Agriculture. Eligibility, easier than a stimulus check. If you got a stimulus check, why would you not get this? How much does it pay? A fortune. Family of 4 out of Hawaii gets upwards of $16,000 a year. Whoa, why so much money? Because of 2 wonderful executive orders. One from Biden, one from Trump that raise your benefits up 15% between now and December nationally. So go get it. And if you got to Snap, post in the live chat right now, and you're killing it. Rent, $25,000, $26,000 for rent. Snap, $18,000 for Snap. Utilities, $7,000 for utilities. And we're only 12 minutes in this video. It's time for some more money, and it's coming back from your states. Viewers have gotten $3,000, $5,000, and $2,500 approximately for this. It's the refund check due to overpayment and a computer error. Where's it going to land? Direct deposit. When? Reach out to your state. Say, hey, state, where's that check due to overpayment and computer error? And can you track it with a computer that actually has a keyboard? It may help if you can actually, instead of shouting at the screen. And there you go. The last part of the money is the refund check coming back from your IRS. It's the taxes you paid on the 2020 return. Margaret got it, Cod got it, Michael got it. And if you haven't gotten it, don't worry because it's a waivable check. Just don't tell Mitch. The latest waivable check got an update from IRS. The average payout in this wave, $1,265. Wow, wonderful, great news. Direct deposit started July 14th, and the paper check started July 16th. There's a wave every week this rest of the summer. Great news. So how do you get it? A direct deposit, otherwise in the mail. When this month? Where? Let's say you had $9,000 of unemployment benefits. You pay $5,000 of taxes, of which $4,000 was your taxes on unemployment benefits. Congratulations, you're getting this $4,000 back. First, let me take a break for a second. If you are in the live chat and have not posted your success for rent or utilities or Snap, do it, because that's the spirit of this channel. People helping people. And when you do it, you really help 3 people 3 different ways. Number 1, when you help people by inspiring them with your success story. Your success story could be $100. Maybe it's $10,000. Maybe it's $20,000 or $30,000. You inspire people because then they realize, wait a second, they're getting the money. I should get the money. I want to have all this in a graphic, but I didn't have time to put it on air. Because when they see your success story, then they realize, I'll go get the money. Number 2, viewers like Art Sullivan got 3 items, and Nisi got 3 items. It inspires other people to get 3 items. Because if you got 1, why stop? We have Nancy, who got $30,000 over 3 items, and we've got Mark, who got over $30,000 in 2 items. So Mark, go get another item, bring it up to $40,000. I mean, it just inspires people to get all the items. And then finally, it gives us an update about the numbers. We realize the numbers are going bigger and bolder. So there you go. Let's go back to that refund check from IRS. So how do you track it? Go to irs.gov, do a transcript search, and it reveals the tax return you filed and the taxes you paid 70% of the time. And it will also reveal stuff that you never knew, stuff that you didn't want to know. Like when Mitch was on Star Search and sung that lullaby song for Chuck, was it Slave to You by Britney? And finally, we'll reveal the refund check you're getting. Can we top that? We can. As we go into the second part of your 4 stimulus check updated 2021, starting right now. Recon, a done deal. $3.5 trillion of checks are coming to the American people under this recon. A week ago, the Democratic caucus senators met with Chuck Schumer and agreed that they are doing the recon with a price tag of $3.5 trillion and passing it. That was then. Now, things change by the hour with these people, but this was huge, great news because it's checks for everyone. This is not third stimulus with the checks to the children. These are seniors, these are adults, these are workers. And this was achieved by taking roads and bridges out of the recon and putting it into the bipartisan. On July 4th, around that, the Democrats were asked by Chuck and Nancy, would you support the recon with the roads and bridges in there? No, take the roads and bridges out, shrink the recon. So they did, and they put those roads and bridges into the bipartisan, and it made now the bipartisan and the recon both passable. And that confirmation came even before the vote was called recently. The higher the price tag was on the recon before, the harder it was to pass. There you go, confirmation. This is from a conservative publication, op-ed. But by allowing the Democrats to take out some of the spending from the recon, roads and bridges, and put it in the bipartisan, it made the overall price tag of the recon smaller, obviously. In other words, the bipartisan deal made the recon passable. There you go. Now, we have both the recon and the bipartisan now passable. You're going to see later in this video what happened with a vote just minutes ago. But on Wednesday, the Democrats and the Republican senators met and agreed that the roads and bridges is now passable. And last Friday, they agreed informally without a vote that the recon is passable. So how do they achieve this? Well, once they shrunk the recon of the Democrats, they were able to put some more money back in and bring it up to a number that they wanted. They got that number, $3.5 trillion. And that's what they wanted. Here were the comments beforehand. Ilhan Omar, Democrat, Minnesota, progressive, said, we have to have a recon that goes as far as we want it. You got it, Elon. $3.5 trillion, congratulations. And Richie Torres, representative of New York, Democrat, progressive, said, have to have a larger recon. You got it, Richie, $3.5 trillion. And the progressives were meeting with the White House daily to ensure the recon went big and bold enough. They got it, $3.5 trillion. How do they do this? By protecting the recon. The progressives protecting the recon. And this is what Schatz said that the president told him to do, and Jalopal as well. They're both Democrats, both progressives. That the White House, quote, this is a quote, the White House considers the progressive priorities in the recon its own priorities. Wow. So let's go over what a recon is, what a bipartisan is. Let's go over the terminology. Let's go over how a recon is created, how it's finished, how it's voted on, when we see it and when we don't see it. And it starts right now. You see me only use two terms on this channel. Recon and bipartisan. And while we can deal with two terms, broadcast media can't. And so what they're doing is they're using the wrong terms for the wrong items, and then sometimes they're using other terms, as if they got these two terms correct, lined up, which they don't. They're messing up too. I mean, if you can't even get two, why are you going to new terms? So let's go over the other terms. So you know what they are. So if you see an article, then you realize, oh, that article's messed up. Recon is also called reconciliation. It's also called the budget bill. Price tag $3.5 trillion. People that quote in an article about it are an AOC or Bernie Sanders. Bipartisan, also called roads and bridges, also called infrastructure. People quoting an article about it are Kristen Sinema, Mitt Romney, Ron Portman, and there you go. Who writes a recon? A recon is written by Democrats for Democrats to be passed by Democrats. GOP has nothing to do with it. Where do they write the recon? It's actually written in subcommittees of the House. More about those guys and gals in a second. But this is critical because in the Constitution, the subcommittees of the House are delegated different subject matters based upon their establishment. So House and Ways and Means, for example, goes over stimulus checks. They write stimulus checks, and they also write unemployment benefits. The Senate subcommittees also help them. When they're finished writing, then they send those pages up to Chuck. Let's say we have 10 subcommittees and 10 pages they wrote. That's 100 pages. Send it up to Chuck. He combines it. He has 100 pages. He puts a big S on it. For salty, no. For sugary, no. For seductive, no. For Schumerish, no, not for Schumerish. For Senate, yes, for Senate. And that is your recon bill. Under the Constitution, there's no rule of transparency. So the subcommittees don't have to show you what they're writing, what they're not writing, what they're voting, what they're not voting, what they're taking, or what they're adding. They have to show you along the way. And at the moment, we don't have the recon bill because it's sort of like a pop singer who doesn't want to show you the songs on her album until it's released. No big deal. But what's important for you to understand is that broadcast media and I both say the same thing. We have an emoji for this, not bill yet. And until we have the bill, we don't have it. So if you do see someone say, I haven't heard or I haven't seen, guess what? Because no one is talking about what's in the recon because they don't want to show it to you. We haven't gotten it yet. And there you go. How do we get to this wonderful spot? By Jalapal, who had written Schumer a letter recently which said, "Chuck all the vote on the recon." This letter is very important in view of the breaking news that's in the final 15 minutes of this video. Oh, this letter is very important. She wrote the letter saying, "Chuck all the vote on the recon." The letter was signed by 12 House Democrats who are among the 100-plus House Democrats who are written the president letter saying, we're going to put monthly stimulus checks to the force stimulus recon. Whoa. That is wonderful. Can we top that? We can. As 7 members of that House Ways and Means subcommittee, oh, the one you were just mentioning? Yeah, that one. Recently wrote the president a letter saying, we're going to be putting monthly fourth stimulus checks in the fourth stimulus package. Whoa. That's a big promise, Purple Power. You have to get these House Ways and Means committee members to keep their promise. They also wrote you a third, and they represent they're giving you a fifth. Can we top that? We can. As the president recently got it done. He went overseas 6 weeks ago this Saturday to sign a ceremonial signature, but the formal signature, the actual real thing, deal, happened just a few days ago. It's the global minimum corporate tax rate minimum. Oh, that confusing thing. Why is this great news? Because that confusing thing is not in the recon. Literally, that's the reason. Number one, easier to write the recon because the confusing thing ain't in there. Easier to call the vote on the recon because the confusing thing ain't in there. Easier to vote on the recon because the confusing thing ain't in there. And easier to pass the recon because the confusing thing ain't in there. Can we top that? We can. The final 15 minutes of this video, folks, is jam-packed. It is overwhelming. A breaking news report with so much happening a vote minutes ago. Fireworks before the vote. Fireworks after the vote, 3 emergency meetings overnight, a strange twist coming from one of the people who had our back. Does that person not have our back? I have all the shocking details coming up in the final 15 minutes. It's actually more comprehensive than the afternoon's Lalate video, which was taped minutes earlier because it was taped before the vote. I'm telling you, these news cycles are getting very, very quickly. This taping and the evening's Lalate will be the most comprehensive of the day because these are happening after this vote and what's just happened minutes ago. Whew. Meantime, can we tout that? We can. Volunteers. They are incredible of helping you get that rent, utilities, food, and internet. If you're trying to get that rent, food, and utilities, cannot find it, don't worry. The viewers like you have stepped forward to help you. That's how the viewership of this channel works. We're all one big loving family. Viewers helping viewers. They're the volunteers. They'll help you get that rent, utilities, mortgages, and homeowners utilities. Open the description of this video. Go down the description and you'll see the community page. It sends you to the community page. It's news.lalate.com/community. On the page is the volunteers separated from Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. They are absolutely wonderful. I want to praise Crystal because I saw her comments during morning's Lalate live show this morning. She says, you know what? I see all your comments and I work during the day, but I come back at night and I get on the computer and I make sure I answer every single one of you. Isn't that wonderful? That is wonderful. That is the spirit of people that love and treat other ones with respect and kindness and helping everyone. So thank you to her and thank you to all the volunteers. Here's a little bit about them. I'll be back with you 60 seconds with the final 15. Get ready to put that coffee down because it's a lot of info. It's the final 15 of the final 7 coming up right after this commercial break. If you want money right now, not 5 days from now, and not 5 weeks from now, then reach out to the community page. The volunteers can help you find that money for rent and utilities. That's at news.lalate.com/community. The community page features a series of volunteers who are viewers like you. They can help you find rent, utilities, SNAP, food benefits, mortgage assistance, and help you with eviction moratorium questions as well. Their Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram individuals reach out to them and indicate the city and state you're from, and they'll get back to you shortly. That's a community page. Volunteers working for you, viewers helping one another. Stay with LA for more. Join Lalate Daily for the excitement of the new Lalate live daily. The excitement starts on mornings Lalate at 9 a.m. Home Lalate returns at 11 a.m. daily. And then afternoons Lalate at 1 p.m. Join us daily as the excitement continues live from Santa Monica on Lalate. And the breaking news continues at noontime, the final 15 of the final 7. The vote is held minutes ago. I'll be going over what that breaking news of that vote means for us, and what were the dramatics going into the vote and the dramatics going out of the vote, and my concern about this vote. It's all happening here on noontime. It's the final 15 of the final 7. And then we cut to fifth stimulus. But first, subscribe. 400,000 subscribers, a YouTube record. I want you part of this channel. Hit that subscribe button. Like the video. 3,000 likes. Every like helps. Don't forget to like the video. And consider becoming a member. Coming up next is Afternoons LA Throwback at 1 o'clock. Then the new Afternoons LA taped today. Same shirt. Muddled Nothing. It's at 3 o'clock. And then 5 o'clock will be Evenings LA, and then a new Overnight's Crypto Tonight. So subscribe and also like the video. During the campaign trail, the President of the United States promised a raise of your benefits of SSI, SSDI, VA, and everyone else. He did not deliver this. But don't worry, because the Democratic senators and House members are taking care of it for you in what's called fifth stimulus. This is this fall. This fifth stimulus will heat up by legislative efforts starting in September. The legislative efforts will start drafting in September, and then you'll see the vote about in November-ish. The benefits would kick in November to your bank account, but then the additional lift or benchmark would be December. First, they're going to raise your benefits up. They're going to remove the asset limit, add the inflationary benchmark, remove the marriage penalty, and remove the income exclusion. Let's go over how this works and who this is for. First is for you. It's for you. SSI, SSDI, VA, I just messed that up. Let's try it again. SSI, SSDI, Social Security, Railroads benefits, Veterans benefits, SSA, and multiple beneficiaries. First thing they'll do is raise your benefits up one big time. Then they will apply the benchmark. They'll apply that benchmark in December. And what is the new benchmark? Inflation. Where is inflation going? It's being transitory. What does transitory mean? It's a fancy word said by Jay Powell last week on Capitol Hill, head of the Federal Reserve. It refers to an event where inflation goes to a spike and then comes back down, a temporary spike. Well, when is a spike? In December, when they applied the benchmark. Yes, perfect timing. It's wonderful timing. So how high is the spike supposed to be? Well, that's an issue of discussion. But Wall Street last week and this week, and based upon the new PPI numbers today, reassured a lot of people that they think it's about 5%, which is my number as well. So let's do that analysis. Let's say it is 5%. They'll raise your benefits up a lifetime. Then they'll apply that 5% benchmark of an additional raise of 5%. But not just for next year, lifetime. Because once your benefits step up 5%, they don't step down. And so if the inflation rate is 2% the year after that, you'll be plus 2, plus 5%. Next, they'll remove the asset cap dating back to a 1980s law that prevents you from having more than $3,000 in hand. Now you'll be able to have some muddled. Did you say muddled? No, there's nothing muddled about this. You'll be able to have some Crayola Blue Crowns in your hand and some stimulus checks. They're going to move the income cap dating back to a 1960s law that says you can't work and stay on benefits. And finally, the marriage penalty is going to go away. You'll be able to do a pair dance. And because love is going to win, you will no longer suffer benefits loss. And you'll no longer fear loss of benefits by getting married. Viewers like Rob and Sandy will be able to get married. And there you go. That's for stimulus. But if you're in the live chat and you notice people who are posting who have a purple emoji of a hawk next to themselves. Hawk, hawk. What's going on here? And why are they getting these big sums of money? How are they doing this? Well, they get from me as a hawk daily a breakdown of all the big money under third stimulus. Because you may have heard about a stimulus check, but did you hear about all these other tens of thousands of dollars that are available for you? Did you hear about them under fourth stimulus? Because when fourth stimulus becomes law, I'm going to focus on getting you all that money as well. When second stimulus passed, it was a $600 stimulus check. I said, well, yeah, but I'll get you $6,000. I got Tyrone, family of 4 out of Boston, $15,000 for rent. When third stimulus passed and it was a $1,400 stimulus check, I said, yeah, but I'll get you $14,000. I'm getting viewers like Nancy, $30,000. Mark, $30,000. Nisi, $23,000. Everyone, Pamela, $12,000. you're seeing these achievements because viewers have learned that there's a lot of money in these stimulus packages, application based, and they're learning from me. So consider becoming a member. The link is in the chat, also under the description where it says join here. And with that, there's also going to be, of course, a fifth stimulus check in the fifth stimulus package. That check is likely to be for next year, would not overlap with fourth stimulus. With that, let's get to the final 15 of the final 7 starting right now. I told you these last 7 days are going to be very dramatic. And what I got to tell you is that the news cycle is changing by the minute. I had to actually say it to you at the top of this recording. This happened since I taped Afternoons LA, which is coming up in about an hour or two from now. But before Evenings LA, which I'm taping right after I get off of the air of this one. So these things are changing by the minute. Let's go over first the recon. Then we're going to go to the bipartisan. We'll come back to the recon. All right, recon. Your money. Done. Deal. $3.5 trillion of checks. A week ago today, the Senate Democrats met and agreed upon the price tag. They would have passed a $3.5 trillion. They did not vote. This is a meeting, a caucus meeting. And these are Senate Democrats all in the meeting, agreed upon 3.5. This is huge, as Senator Danny Kean says, because once you agree upon the price tag, then all you have to do is slot the items into the positions. This is also huge because it's so much money. Bernie Sanders went in there asking for $7 trillion, said he got everything paid for 100% of what he wanted, just shorter period of time. Obviously, 3.5 is half 7, so probably half the amount of time. So what is going on with that? More about where the recon is procedurally in a second. But earlier in the video, I told you we do not have the recon bill yet, but I do have some of the provisions of some of the items that are in the recon. Checks for everyone. Remember, this is fourth stimulus, not third stimulus with the children's checks. So here you go. Checks for free school meals are in the fourth stimulus recon. Checks for tax breaks. Checks for cheaper prescriptions. Checks for cheaper prescription medications. Checks for immigration reforms, checks for greener farming, checks for elections, checks for free internet. They're getting fortunes to your local cities so they can offer you free internet. Have cities run their own internet company and offer it free to you. Then checks for clean energy. And then checks for workers, checks for union workers, checks for independent contractors, checks for collective bargaining, and then checks for my seniors. Here are my checks for my seniors. Medicare expansions, lowering eligibility, checks for dental, checks for vision, and checks for hearing. Okay, that's pretty easy. That is just some of the items. Let's cut over to the roads and bridges. All right, so the roads and bridges minutes ago had another vote. Another vote? How many votes are they having? So they have now had 3 votes. They had a vote last week, they had a vote Wednesday, and they had a vote minutes ago. Are the votes the same thing? They are. They're doing the same vote 3 times in a row. Why? I'll explain that in a second. So last week, Chuck Schumer had a vote called a end to discussion, to end discussion on the bipartisan, meaning it's also called a vote to advance the bipartisan roads and bridges. At the time, I said it was going to fail because they weren't ready, but it was going to work because it got people moving along. They worked all last weekend. They're going to work this weekend as well. So it failed last week. Then this Wednesday, they called the vote again with the belief that it was going to pass because all the Republicans, including McConnell, said it will pass. They want it to pass. So it did pass on Wednesday. So that vote means that they're advancing the bipartisan, not the bill, but trying to end discussion of it to get it ready for a vote. So what did they have a vote on minutes ago? The same thing a third time. Why? To get them to get the actual bipartisan roads and bridges bill to text format ASAP so that they can call a vote on the bill. Good so far. Now let me go over the dramatics that happened minutes before the vote today. Minutes before the vote, there was reportedly rumors of a draft of the text circling on the Senate floor that was not the text of the bipartisan group. And while the article doesn't say who authored the text, and it doesn't certainly point fingers at who wrote the text, it's claiming that the Democrats wrote the text, and those Democrats are not part of the 10-person bipartisan group negotiators. Interesting. To which Republicans came out and said, we like only what the 10-person bipartisan group is doing. And if a Democrat starts to draft up this legislation, I'm not doing it. Okay. Do I care about this? Not really, but I just want to tell you the dramatics of that moment. Now, here is the bigger issue that I have an attention to. The earlier this week, I believe it was Wednesday, Chuck Schumer asked his Democratic senators and got 100% approval to do the same vote on the recon, our money, the 3.5 trillion. He did not call the vote to end discussion of the recon or advance or whatever you want to call it, has multiple names. But he informally polled all 50 Democratic senators, and they said yes. I reported yesterday that it was likely the vote would happen in the next 24 hours. It has still not happened. To which I have a question mark. Why is Chuck not calling the same vote on the recon yet? A vote to end discussion of the recon. Not clear yet, but you're going to follow me with this. You're going to see a sort of trend line that's happening. Last night, there were 3 emergency meetings. The first emergency meeting I'll do first because it doesn't concern this. It's easy to get out of the discussion. An emergency meeting between Maxine Waters, Democrat, California, here in Los Angeles, and Nancy Pelosi. Maxine Waters is calling for an emergency bill to extend the eviction moratorium set to expire within hours, and is calling for Nancy Pelosi to put that to a vote on the House floor ASAP and send it over to the Senate and get it signed into law ASAP. Interesting. I will track it. I don't know if it's going to pass. That was the first emergency meeting. The second emergency meeting is about this. It was called by Bernie Sanders with Nancy Pelosi. Bernie Sanders met with Nancy Pelosi for the concern that Bernie Sanders has about when things are called for a vote. You have understood from me for a very long time that you have to call the vote on the recon before the bipartisan, at least in the House. But if it doesn't happen in the Senate, it's taken care of on the House side. Over the last month, let me back up on this because this is very important. This is the point I want to get across to you, and you're going to see what I'm thinking. This is not something that's jumping off the page of the news reports. This is something that's sort of hitting me in the face by looking at stuff. Earlier this month and last month, Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, the president, AOC, Jolapal, everyone said, we're calling the vote on the recon first, and then we're calling the vote on the bipartisan. You know it. You've repeated back to me. That refers to both the Senate side and also the House side, that you have to do the recon first. Now, let me add a little bit more to that to make it even more spicier, which is the reason I do this thing with the hand and then this thing and the July 4th thing was because certain Democrats said that the recon was too big with roads and bridges. Take the roads and bridges out of the recon, put it separate into the bipartisan, and then I support the recon. And you can call the vote for the recon first. What happened late yesterday and this morning? A series of Senate Democrats, these are Democrats, went on the record and literally said this. Now, do not take the computer and throw it out the window. I'm pre-warning you. A series of Democrats said, well, the infrastructure, the roads and bridges is almost done. So why not just finish that off and go home for the August recess, and we've got a big achievement for the American people. Yeah, I know you're about to throw the computer out the window. Yeah, I can't believe Democrats actually said that about fellow Democrats. It's shocking because that's exactly the antithesis of what's going on here. Now let's go back to what happened with Chuck Schumer and that vote today about the infrastructure. And this is me reading between the lines. This is not something written in black and white. Chuck Schumer in the last week has talked about getting the infrastructure ready for a vote on the bill. And he said that today. He also said, I think the infrastructure is ready for a vote on the bill by this weekend. Okay. What about the recon, Chuck? Silence. The silence I'm seeing coming from Chuck Schumer about the recon suddenly is causing a big opening in my eye. Causing me to say, excuse me? He keeps on talking about in the last 2 days getting the infrastructure ready for a vote by the weekend, but he's not mentioning he's not talking about the recon. He's not talking about the infrastructure. Sorry, I don't know if I said that right. He keeps on talking about getting the infrastructure ready for a vote by this weekend, but he's not talking about the recon. Now, he's not saying anything negative about the recon, but he's not mentioning the recon. What did Bernie Sanders do yesterday? And you see how I'm teeing this up in a certain progression of timeline. Bernie Sanders, who's a senator in Chuck Schumer's hall, went to Nancy Pelosi, who's in the House, and he said, Nancy, we have a problem. What's the problem, Bernie? You have to hold your ground. Well, I am holding my ground, Bernie. You've promised, Nancy, to the American people that if the roads and bridges come to the House first from the Senate, you're throwing the garbage. I still am, Bernie. Good, Nancy. No, don't move your ground. I'm not, Bernie. Nancy, you saw those Democratic senators yesterday were talking about sending you the roads and bridges first. I don't care, Nancy, Bernie. I'm throwing it in the garbage. You have to send me the recon first. Do you see a problem with a Democratic senator with Chuck Schumer going to Nancy saying there's a problem over in the Senate and Chuck Schumer not talking about it? I don't want to be pessimistic about this, but I'm starting to wonder, why does Chuck Schumer keep on talking about calling the vote on the bill of the bipartisan this weekend, and I hear nothing about the infrastructure, the recon? So this is a new development in just the last few minutes. Bernie Sanders going to meet with Nancy Pelosi happened last night, but the fact that Chuck Schumer is now saying, I'm ready to call the vote on the roads and bridges this weekend, but is not mentioning the recon, is now causing a little bit of confusion about the situation. Let's go to the vote and the bills. Now, we do not have the recon bill yet, and we do not have the bipartisan bill yet. When the recon bill is debuted on the Senate side, that's where it'll start, it may be imperfect. We may look at it and say, oh, they did not include something, or they did it wrong, or something is wrong here. The Democrats, ironically, have already said that they're ready to modify stuff. Why? Because the House subcommittees are small groups of people, 5, 10, 12 people. The House floor is hundreds of people. They've not had an opportunity to cut, paste, modify, erase, add, or things. And they've already said, as Democrats with Democrats, I'm ready to modify it. This is good news for us. So when you see the bill on the Senate side, the recon, if it's imperfect, Senate Democrats are ready to modify it. House Democrats are ready to modify it. And then it goes back to the Senate for a vote-a-rama for 2 days. So that's the first thing for you to know, is that purple power you have to push in those final days because these people are ready to modify things. Number two, it's not law yet until it's law. So remember, not bill yet, we have an emoji for that, and not law yet. The bill may be imperfect when we see it, and they can still modify it. Finally, Chuck Schumer said yesterday that he believes that everything will get done by the August recess. And I told you at the time, I thought his choosing of words was very, very vague. What's everything? Is everything the roads and bridges only? There is everything roads and bridges and the bipartisan. Ultimately, it's hard when these legislators don't talk in complete sentences. You don't know if they're just sort of mumbling their words or if they're holding their ground. To recap, let's go over where we are, because I know that was a lot to digest. Number one, the position of Nancy Pelosi on the House is the most important factor at issue here, and she is holding her ground. And have you ever seen Nancy Pelosi change her ground ever? No. So you got to really hope she has your back on this and does not change. Her position is, you do not send me the roads and bridges first. If you do, I'm throwing it in the garbage can. And she's literally said those words. I have the quote on set, but I'm just not going to read it. That is the protection zone, the House. Because ultimately, if Chuck does not protect the situation and does call the vote on the roads and bridges this weekend before the recon, and the next stop is it gets sent to the House, Nancy's throwing it in the garbage can. I don't know why Chuck would try to do something so divisive like that. Number two, We have not seen the recon bill, so it's not law yet. And when we do see it, it can get modified. Number 3, there's $3.5 trillion of checks in there for the American people, for seniors, for workers, and everyone else. Number 4, Chuck Schumer represents this all getting done by the August recess. But the question is, what is all this? And finally, it's important to understand that there are strange dichotomies and twists and turns. What I ask you to do for the respect of fellow viewers is that do not bring into the chat stuff that you may have read from yesterday or the day before or an article that was written 10 hours ago, because the storyline is changing by the minute. It's also easier to take the cog analysis and say, I heard Kristen Sinema said something on Tuesday. Kristen Sinema changes her opinion every 10 seconds. I mean, she's just like, Jekyll and Hyde with these opinions. So and Joe Manchin did that all throughout 2020, where he said something and literally when the bill lands on his table, he says, yes, I approve it. So please do not bring extra what you think is information into the conversation, because it may confuse things. 90% of the stuff that I see people sometimes post in the comments confuses the situation because it's already complex. So try to restrain oneself when adding that in there. The important thing that I think we really need to see is that we really need to have the end of discussion on the recon happen, that vote happen right away. We need to get that recon bill teed up for a vote right away. This is all the Senate side. And we need to ensure that all the Democrats watch Nancy Pelosi's back, have her back, because those 3 or 4 Senate Democrats are saying, call the vote on the bipartisan, call the vote on the roads and bridges, and we can all go home for the break, and then we'll get to, recon 20 years from now. That's just surprising that those are actually Democrats. But there you go. A lot of twists and a lot of turns, and things are literally changing by the minute. And maybe by the time I tape Evening to LA in about half an hour from now, things will change again. And with that, subscribe. 400,000 subscribers on YouTube. Recognize what you're part of this channel. Hit that subscribe button. Like this video. 2,000-3,000 likes. Keep on pushing, Purple Power. You absolutely have to call your senators. Tell them, get this done and get those stimulus checks in there. Don't not take care of the American people. We are people. We're not roads. We are actually human beings, and we need to be taken care of. Stay informed, stay focused. I'll see you next on Afternoons LA Throwback at 1 o'clock, the new Afternoons LA at 3 o'clock, and Evenings LA at 5 o'clock. Stay informed, stay focused, and stay with LA for more.